Anderson, and Reynolds passed by him completely airborne. He estimated it was lifted.
Today we got the worst storm chasing accidents ever.
I remember when I was a kid, I used to have this urge to chase a tornado one day. And then as I got older, I started seeing videos where the tornado would turn around, start heading toward the people following it. And I'm not gonna lie, needless to say, I'm good on that, man. But hey, let's check out the video.
The El Reno tornado. On May 31st, 2013, 55-year-old Tim Samaras was leading his team through Canadian County, Oklahoma, tracking what would become the widest tornado ever recorded. Tim, an engineer and storm researcher, had spent over 20 years.
55 though? 20 plus years doing this?
He held the Guinness World Record for recording the greatest pressure drop ever measured inside a tornado. 100 millibars.
I would think starting getting to a certain age, you can't do this no more. Like professional, like sports. Like once you get into a certain age, it's time to retire.
Manchester, South Dakota, in 2003. He was known as one of the most careful chasers in the field. The National Geographic Society had awarded him 18 grants for his field research. With him that day were his 24-year-old son, Paul, who shared his father's birthday and passion for documenting nature, and 45-year-old Carl Young, a meteorologist and geology teacher who served as navigator. They called themselves TWISTEX, Tactical Weather Instrumented Sampling in Tornadoes Experiment, and their mission was to place specially designed probes in tornado paths to measure conditions inside. But on this day, they weren't driving Tim's usual reinforced 3/4-ton truck optimized for hail.
That's look at that motherfucker right there. That's a beast. Hey, I feel like I can drive into a horde of zombies in that motherfucker and I'll be straight.
And high winds. They were in Carl's unmodified Chevrolet Cobalt, chosen to accommodate high-speed camera equipment for a lightning research project. The car had equipment, including heavy barometric probes in the trunk, and was significantly underpowered. Shortly after 6 p.m., a supercell thunderstorm developed west of El Reno. By 6:03 p.m., a tornado touched down about 8 miles west-southwest of town. The tornado grew rapidly, expanding from about 1 mile wide to 2.6 miles across in just 30 seconds.
And
it was wrapped in heavy rain, making it nearly impossible to see
30
its true
seconds?
size. As Tim, Paul, and Carl drove on Reuter Road among wheat fields, they believed the tornado was heading southeast. But at 6:23 p.m., the tornado made a sudden turn directly toward them, accelerating from about 20 miles per hour to 60 miles per hour in forward movement. Carl noticed the rain around their
that's why I don't think I can do it no more. I used to want to go and chase a tornado, but the tornado just turned towards them, and then it picked up in speed plus 40 miles an hour. If you driving in the video going from 20 to 60, if you step on the gas and go from 20 to 60, put your car in sport mode, go from 20 to 60, see how fast you feel, bro. But imagine this
had stopped, and the wind became eerily calm. Tim's voice came over the radio. Actually, I think we're in a bad spot. The vehicle was struck by a subvortex moving at 175 miles per hour within the parent tornado. The small Cobalt was lifted and thrown violently. When emergency crews found it the next morning, it was mangled beyond recognition. Tim's body was still in the driver's seat. Paul and Carl were ejected from the car, their bodies found hundreds of yards away amid a wide debris field. It was the first time professional storm chasers had been killed directly by a tornado. The El Reno tornado killed 8 people that day and injured 151 others. It remains the widest tornado ever measured with winds exceeding 313 miles per hour. Weather Channel Nightmare. On that same afternoon of May 31st, 2013, Weather Channel meteorologist Mike Betts was tracking the El Reno tornado just miles from the TwistX team. Betts, who had been with the Weather Channel since 2003, was leading the tornado hunt team. The crew included producer Austin Anderson as driver, cameraman Brad Reynolds, and 3 engineers. They traveled in a convoy of 3 vehicles along Highway 81. The vehicles included the Betts Mobile and the Bloom Mobile, named for NBC correspondent David Bloom, who died in Iraq. The team had just finished broadcasting when they believed they were at a safe distance. Betts had been tracking the visible funnel several miles back in the distance. He thought they were safe, but the tornado was much larger than it appeared and was making its deadly turn. Engineer Kevin Parrish was driving the lead truck when he suddenly felt it lift slightly off the ground before slamming back down. Through his windshield, he watched the Betts Mobile, carrying Betts, Anderson, and Reynolds, passed by him completely airborne.
What
He
the
estimated it was
fuck?
lifted 20 to 30 feet. He later described it as looking like someone had placed a spatula underneath
fuck?
and was
Just
flipping
flip
it like
that
a
motherfucker?
pancake.
God
The GMC
damn.
Yukon crossed 2 lanes of highway, jumped the center median, crossed 2 more lanes, and disappeared from view. Parrish's truck came to rest in a ditch with its rear windows blown out. For several moments, the only sound was the deafening roar of the tornado. The radios remained
I'd be
silent.
freaking.
The Betts
I'd
Mobile
be
was thrown
freaking.
approximately 200 yards into a field. When it came to rest, the roof had collapsed inward. Austin Anderson suffered the worst injuries. The roof came down onto him, causing neck and spinal injuries, a cracked sternum, 5 broken ribs, and a fractured vertebra. Mike Betts sustained cuts and swallowed glass from shattered windows.
Swallowed?
He needed 3 stitches in his left hand. According to a later lawsuit filed by Anderson, an NBC engineer had disabled the SUV's airbag system before the trip, which he claimed worsened his injuries. Storm chaser Reed Timmer arrived in his Dominator vehicle. They had been chasing for KFOR-TV when they spotted the destroyed SUV. They stopped to assist along with Oklahoma Highway Patrol, but had to leave as the storm approached. All 3 survived. Anderson faced
Okay,
months of
good,
recovery and
good.
multiple surgeries.
Good.
During the tumbling, Betts closed his eyes and felt weightless, wondering if he was dead. He saw what he described as an angelic vision of his wife Allison, whom he'd married months earlier. The experience left him with PTSD symptoms, but with support, he returned to storm chasing the following year. The Texas incident. On March 28, 2017, 57-year-old Kelly Williamson and 55-year-old Randall Yarnell were racing down rural roads in the Texas Panhandle.
Why do these people not have the proper cars, bro? Why are we not in the big transformer truck, bro? Come on, man.
Chasing a tornado near Spur, about 55 miles southeast of Lubbock. The two were stars of the Weather Channel's Storm Wranglers and had known each other since elementary school. They worked for Stormview Live, which provided live videos for weather companies. Williamson had asked Yarnell to join him on the Weather Channel about 2 years earlier. They were under contract and were live streaming their chase on Facebook. But multiple storm chasers had privately expressed concerns to Weather Channel producers. Just weeks before, a chaser sent text messages warning that Williamson's driving was concerning. As evening approached,
Bro got cocky. He been doing it with his childhood best friend for God know how long. Bro got cocky.
Williamson and Yarnell were speeding northbound on Farm to Market Road 1081, their Chevrolet Suburban's cruise control set near 70 miles per hour. They were unfamiliar with the area. The windshield was partially obstructed by storm tracking equipment, and they were unfamiliar with the rural road network. Meanwhile, 25-year-old Corbin Lee Jaeger was driving westbound on Farm to Market Road 2794, following the proper right-of-way. Focused on the storm, Williamson and Yarnell failed to stop at the intersection. At full speed, their Suburban blasted straight through the stop sign. The collision was catastrophic.
Damn.
All 3 men were killed instantly. Williamson, not wearing his
What?
seatbelt, was ejected. Yarnell and Jaeger, both wearing seatbelts, died upon impact. The Facebook live stream abruptly cut out. The lawsuit filed by Jaeger's mother, 2 years later, alleged Williamson and Yarnell had a history of running stop signs and traffic lights, driving on private property,
what the
and
fuck was
driving
they
off-road,
doing, bro?
all captured on film to increase the sense of danger.
The fuck
The
was they
lawsuit claimed
doing?
the channel had knowledge of these habits, yet continued employing them, and even encouraged the recklessness by instructing them during broadcasts to capture exciting footage. Later, Jaeger's mother filed a $125 million wrongful death lawsuit against the Weather Channel. The Lindsay
See,
Show.
then you gotta think about the motherfucking adrenaline junkies out there in the world, bro, too. Like, damn, man, that's just...
On March 13th,
been
1990,
prevented.
Bill Miracle was doing what he'd done countless times, photographing severe weather for Oklahoma City television station KWTV. Miracle was an experienced cameraman who had spent over 30 years in the industry, working in both Hollywood and local news.
Okay.
He'd covered everything from police actions to fires in Oklahoma City. On this Tuesday evening, shortly after 7 p.m., he and KWTV reporter Dave Ballou were sitting in an unmarked station vehicle on a dirt road near Lindsay, Oklahoma, about 45 miles south of Oklahoma City. They were positioned to capture footage of a tornado outbreak that had produced multiple twisters. The area was rural and isolated, ideal for filming without obstructions. As they sat monitoring the storms, Miracle and Balut had no idea they were about to become victims of a crime that had nothing to do with weather. Without warning, 2 people suddenly approached the television van.
Bro,
Before either man could
what?
react, Balut heard glass breaking.
What makes you want to rob this?
Pistol
What?
shot rang out. The bullet struck Miracle directly in the chest and lodging in his right lung. He immediately began yelling for help. Baloo, uninjured but shocked, tried to render aid while calling for emergency assistance. It quickly became apparent that Miracle and Balut had accidentally stumbled upon a drug deal. The dealers, seeing the TV van with all its equipment, had panicked and assumed they were law enforcement. They had opened fire to protect their operation. Emergency responders rushed to the scene and transported Miracle to Lindsay Hospital. The bullet had lodged in his right lung, causing serious damage and bleeding. Doctors stabilized him before transferring him to Baptist Medical Center in Oklahoma City. The medical team faced a difficult decision. The bullet was embedded deep in his lung tissue. Baptist Medical Center spokesman Randy Sachs announced that despite the severity, doctors would not schedule surgery to remove it. The procedure would require opening his chest and cutting through lung tissue, and they determined the risk outweighed leaving the bullet in place. Miracle was listed in fair condition and seemed to be doing well considering he'd been shot in the chest just hours earlier. Miracle eventually made a full recovery and returned to work, though the bullet remained in his lung for life. He would later speak to students about his experiences, emphasizing that nothing was worth risking your life. The incident remains one of the most bizarre, non-weather-related incidents in storm chasing history. The Oklahoma students. On the late evening of April 29, 2022, 3 University of Oklahoma meteorology students were making the drive home after what Drake would call the best night of his life. Nicholas Nair, 20, from Denton, Texas, was behind the wheel of his 2017 Volkswagen Tiguan. In the passenger seats were Gavin Short, 19, from Grace Lake, Illinois, and Drake Brooks, 22, from Evansville, Indiana. The 3 had traveled north to Kansas earlier that day to chase severe weather. At 8:07 p.m., they had witnessed and filmed a small, dusty tornado about 4 miles north of Harrington, Kansas. Short posted the video to social media. For Brooks, it was his first tornado ever. The excitement was overwhelming. Shortly after, Brooks called his family from the road. He told his mother that this was the best night of his life. Shortly before 11:30 p.m., as they traveled south on Interstate 35 near Tonkawa, about 85 miles north of Oklahoma City, the weather turned deadly. It was raining and the roadway was wet. Nair's Volkswagen suddenly hydroplaned on the slick pavement. The SUV went off the road to the right, then came back onto the interstate. But the vehicle had become disabled and was now blocking the outside lane, unable to move. Before they could react, a southbound semi-truck traveling in the same direction.
That's just... Bro, that's bad luck. What the fuck? They spin out right in front of a semi-truck? What in the Final Destination motherfucking shit going on?
Crashed into the stopped Volkswagen with devastating force. All 3 students were instantly pinned inside the crushed vehicle beneath the semi. Emergency responders worked frantically for over 5 hours to extract the 3 young men from the wreckage. All 3 were pronounced dead at the scene. The truck driver was treated for minor injuries and released. The Minnesota truck. On May 2022, Martha Llanos Rodriguez, a 30-year-old storm-chasing meteorologist from Mexico City, was pursuing violent weather across southwestern Minnesota with 3 colleagues from South America. Rodriguez had traveled from Mexico to pursue her passion for understanding severe thunderstorms. She was part of a team that included Diego Campos, who was handling the driving, and 2 Chilean meteorologists. The group had been tracking severe thunderstorms across the region, carefully documenting the powerful weather systems. On this particular day, they were traveling along Interstate 90, one of the main highways cutting through southern Minnesota. The storms they had been chasing had produced extremely strong straight-line winds, including numerous downed trees and power lines scattered across roads. As evening approached and daylight faded, the team found themselves driving through the aftermath of one of these severe storm cells. Power lines had been knocked down by winds and were laying directly across the interstate lanes ahead, creating an extremely hazardous obstacle. Campos, who was behind the wheel, saw the downed lines ahead and made the immediate decision to bring the vehicle to a complete stop. It was absolutely the safe choice, because power lines could still be energized with thousands of volts and posed a serious electrocution risk if driven over. The team came to a halt on Interstate 90 with their hazard lights flashing brightly to warn other drivers. But what they didn't see was the semi-trailer truck approaching rapidly from behind on the dark interstate.
Bro, that's back-to-back. That's back-to-back semi-trucks, bro.
The truck driver, possibly unable to see the stopped vehicle in time due to poor visibility from rain and darkness, didn't slow down. The massive semi plowed directly into the back of the meteorologist's vehicle with tremendous force at highway speed. The impact was absolutely devastating. Martha Llanos Rodriguez was killed instantly in the collision. Diego Campos and the 2 Chilean meteorologists were all injured in the violent crash. The two from Chile sustained painful but non-life-threatening injuries. However, Bradford Barrett, an American meteorologist stationed in Chile who was traveling with them, sustained severe life-threatening injuries and required immediate emergency treatment. The storm-chasing community was absolutely devastated when news spread. Rodriguez was remembered as an exceptionally talented young meteorologist who had traveled thousands of miles to pursue her passion. Her death, coming just 2 weeks after 3 University of Oklahoma students, Drake Brooks, Nicholas Nair, and Gavin Short, had been killed in a separate hydroplaning accident while returning from a chase, sent shockwaves through the community. The incident highlighted one of the harsh truths that veteran chasers had long known, that despite the obvious dangers of lightning and violent tornadoes, the time spent driving on highways in poor visibility actually posed the single greatest risk. Rodriguez's tragic death brought the total number of storm-chasing fatalities during the spring season of 2022 to 4 people, making it one of the deadliest periods in storm-chasing history. If you'd like to see more stories like this,
Yeah, bro. I don't know the numbers to like how many people survive these encounters with big storms and tornadoes and stuff. But from what I've seen in this video, you need one of them big. You need the right equipment. You need them big trucks, the big armored fortified transformer truck. You need that. If you go out there without that, what the fuck are you doing? And 2, if it's me, if you just chasing for like a little live stream or a picture, take the picture as soon as that tornado land and dip. As soon as it touched the ground, take your picture, gone. That's if I was to do it, that's how I would do it. I need the truck, take a picture as soon as it land, I'm gone. Simple as that. But hey, hope you enjoyed the video. Peace out.